Pathfinder Wrath already has 25 base classes to pick, but when you start leveling up, you may notice some extra ones at the bottom of the list. These are prestige classes. Today I'm going to break down each of the prestige classes and how you can unlock them, and a general starter class that you should pick if you want to go down one of these routes. Let's go. This video is brought to you by you. If you're going to enjoy this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments down below what prestige class is your favorite. Let's go. There are 13 prestige classes. For those of you that are unaware, they are basically multi-class options, as you can't pick them at level 1, allowing you to highly specialize into one or two specific things. These classes do not act as archetypes for any of the other classes, and they don't have their own archetypes as the base 25 classes do. They are basically their own standalone thing. For new players, I wouldn't recommend toying around with the system too much, as you can lock yourself out of some of the higher level advancements for your actual main class, as well as prevent things like spell progression, as some of the classes don't even allow you to progress with spells at all. It's a good idea to wait until you have a general understanding of the Pathfinder leveling system and then Google some guides, have a little bit of a play around, and then see what you can figure out. You can also only put up to 10 levels into a prestige class, so around level 10 in your playthrough is probably when you want to start having a look at this system and figuring out whether you do want to go into any of these one specific routes. We'll go through each class and the prerequisites to unlock each one, as well as a general starter to go from. And we're going to start off with the Arcane Trickster. The Arcane Trickster uses both magic and rogue elements. They can perform sneak attacks regardless of the enemy's awareness and become invisible using magic. The prerequisites for this class is Trickery 4, Mobility 4, Sneak Attack 2, and the ability to cast arcane spells level 2, as well as Knowledge Arcana 4. A good starter for an Arcane Trickster is probably a rogue or a sorceress. Even a cross-blooded sorceress is probably a really good option to start off if you do want to go the Arcane Trickster route. Just make sure you do pick up the skills as you do level through. The Assassin are trained as merciless killers, adept at silent murdering people in a number of ways, and this probably is one of the weaker prestige classes, as a key element of an assassin is the poison damage you can do, and practically every enemy in the game is immune to poison, as they are all demons. A prerequisite for this class is just to have Stealth 5 and any evil alignment. Nearly any class can become a rogue because of these low level requirements, but a rogue is probably the best option to start out with if you do want to go this route. Stalwart Defenders focuses on defense abilities. They sacrifice damage and mobility to gain damage reduction and better saving throws, and they basically just stand there as a giant tank. They also can't cast spells, just keep that in mind. Prerequisites for the Stalwart Defender is having dodge and the toughness feats, as well as a base attack bonus of 7. Primarily, this prestige class will be spec'd into if you are a fighter and you do want to go a very heavy tank route. A dwarf is a really solid option because of the +2 constitution that they get, as well as some of the other race features that a dwarf does have. Barbarians may spec into a Stalwart Defender, but it's less likely. Eldritch Knights are another prestige class, and they fight in close quarters and use magical abilities from a distance. They are very versatile because they can fight in close range as well as from a distance with some of their magical abilities. The prerequisites for this prestige class is the ability to cast 3rd level spells and have martial weapons proficiency. Really, you would be looking at something like a fighter cross a wizard, so you're already multi-classing before even looking at this prestige class, or a ranger and a sorcerer if you want to go a slightly different route and have ranged weapons as well. Dragon Disciples is probably one of the more fun prestige classes, as you get to become a dragon, and I mean, who doesn't want to do that? Dragon Disciples use magic and dragon powers, and you follow a draconic bloodline to perform those kind of powers. Prerequisites for this class is the ability to spontaneously cast level 1 spells, a Knowledge Arcana of 5, and you're mostly going to be picking this up if you're starting as one of the wizards or alchemist lines, though as like a blood rager or something, if you've got a spells available to you, you could pick up this line. You know, I have seen some blood ranger dragon disciples builds, and I'm actually working on one right now. The Hellknight is an extension of the fighter armorer archetype, although you don't necessarily have to go this. They are a full-fledged Hellknight, and you can get a wide variety of mostly melee focused abilities from being a Hellknight. The prerequisites here is a base attack bonus of 5, persuasion 5, knowledge arcana is 2, and an unproficiency of heavy, as well as any lawful alignment. As I said, fighter armorer is probably the main archetype that you want to pick for this, because it is kind of a novice Hellknight, but you could pick really anything you like as long as you do fit with those requirements. The Mystic Theurge is next, and they can perform magic to aid allies and harm enemies. They have a special ability that allows them to cast 2 spells at once, so a pretty solid build to pick up if you are looking to be a wizard or a cleric, basically. Prerequisites are a Knowledge Arcana 3, Law Religion 3, and the ability to cast arcane spells at level 2 or divine spells at level 2. Pretty much you want to be either a wizard or a cleric if you want to go the Mystic Theurge. You could go maybe an oracle, I could see that if you are going for focusing on the divine route, but clerics and wizards are primarily where you're going to go for the Mystic Theurge. Duelist is next, and a duelist focuses on close quarter combat and dodging. They sacrificed armor capabilities to gain additional dodge, chance, and damage for critical attacks. The prerequisites for this prestige class is base attack bonus 6, skills mobilities 2, and feats dodge, mobility, and weapon finesse. Because a duelist loses their armor capabilities, you want to focus on a class initially that also doesn't rely too heavily on armor. Something like a rogue or a bard is a really good option as they don't rely on armor for their defense, although you could go like a fighter or a ranger and pick up these different prerequisites, but because they do focus more on armor, you probably want to stay away from them. The Aldori Swordlord is a really difficult one to get into, but it does have its really decent benefits if you do choose to go this line. The Swordlord are basically focused entirely on one specific weapon, which is the dueling sword, and heavily speccing themselves to buffing this weapon so that they can basically just use this sword to just slash and dash everything that they see fit. There is some really good dueling swords in the game as well, just mind you. Now, the prerequisites for this class is mobility 3, persuasion 5, knowledge world 3, perception 3, dazzling display feat, the weapon finesse feat, and you have to have proficiencies in the dueling sword and weapon focus in the dueling sword as well. Basically what this means is it's going to be more or less a fighter as your initial starting class. You could probably go human as well as your race because they probably have one of the best options, dwarf maybe as well because you can get a little bit of extra constitution, but this is far from the only route. You could go rangers and rogues and slayers and whatever you like, really. Anything that can fit with these prerequisites, but you have to have that dueling sword proficiencies in order to be able to spec into this line. Next is the Student of War, which is a martially minded class, so something like a fighter that has those martial weapons that wants to focus more on the mastery of their skills, those skills being, the knowledge skills, the law skills, etc. The prerequisites for a Student of War is a base attack bonus of 5, the dodge and combat expertise feats, and having knowledge in arcana, law, nature, and religion. One of those 4 listed. Pretty much any martial-based class will fit here, probably a fighter or even something like a slayer, maybe. Fighter's probably the most common that would spec into a Student of War. Hellknight Signifer is a variation on the Hellknight. It's basically a spell-casting arm of the Hellknights. The prerequisites for this prestige class is Persuasion 2, Knowledge Arcane 5, World 5, and it has to have one of the following features: Arcane Armor Training and Warrior Priest. Any lawful alignment will also do, and you need to have the ability to cast 3rd level spells. Signifiers are arcane and divine spellcasters, so really anything like a cleric or a wizard that can spec into these various lines, and just make sure you have the correct alignment and you should be good to go. Loremaster is a gatherer and keeper of secrets. They are often obsessed with the written word and with cryptic and arcane lore, serving as their devoted mistress. The prerequisites for this prestige class is one of the following skills, and it's basically all of the meta magic skills that you can get. So empower, extend, heighten, maximize, quicken, and reach. You also need to have the ability to cast divine or arcana 3rd level spells. If you're looking at being a wizard, an activist, an oracle, a cleric, any of those divine and arcana type classes, this is something that you could look into. The Winter Witch is our final prestige class. The otherworldly powers of the Winter Witch are intrinsically linked with the frozen outer worlds. Basically, you just want to cast frost all day, every day, and you really enjoy the cold. The prerequisites for this prestige class is Knowledge Arcana 5, the Winter or Cold Patreon skill, and be able to cast 3rd level divine or arcane spells. Please correct me in the comments if I am wrong, but from my understanding, you have to be a witch and you have to select the Winter Patreon. Specifically, I'd probably go the Elemental Witch so that you can get these, and it fits more in line with what the Winter Witch is trying to do. But they are all the prestige classes. If you'd like me to do a video on one specifically, do let me know in the comments below and I can include that in an upcoming build. I highly recommend that you check out my combat video, which breaks down turn-based and real-time combat for you guys to get a decent understanding of the game. Please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and on Twitch, where I stream 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, Australian night times. Hope to see you guys there in the next stream. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.